Here's something I don't like to talk about much. My photos and videos are at risk because I use iCloud. And if you're using iCloud as well, then yours are also at risk. Let's talk about how to protect that collection with a full resolution archive. Have you ever had a photo or video go missing on you? We all have one time or another, and we can blame Apple or we can blame ourselves. But iCloud is a great convenience for synchronizing our photos and videos. But if we accidentally delete something and don't catch it in the recently deleted folder before 30 days, that file is gone permanently. And the Photos app and iCloud Photos service is terrific. But there's a difference between accessing your photos and preserving your photos. And while sync is an undeniable convenience, an archive brings objective durability. So like I said, I'm going to show you how to create a full resolution archive that lives independently of iCloud. By the way, you can check an earlier video I had where I covered how to create a backup of your photos library file on an external drive. You can catch that link down in the description. And like I said before, I've done research on this and I wasn't able to find a easy bulletproof backup solution for photos and videos when you use iCloud. And that's regardless whether you use full resolution on your local drive or optimized storage on your local drive. So my recommendation here to create that full resolution archive requires you to embrace friction. Creating an archive requires effort. Effort creates awareness, and awareness prevents silent loss. If it isn't obvious already, what we're going to do is export all of our photos out of the Photos app and onto an external drive. And what you're going to want to do is make sure that we export unmodified full resolution versions of those files. Now, when you have a very large collection, you're going to have to determine a batch strategy because you're going to be limited to no more than 1,000 exports at a time. And to be honest, I wouldn't recommend doing 1,000 at a time, no matter how attractive that might be to hopefully save some time. Just 1,000 processes in a row, you could just see that creating a problem. Now, before you start your exports, I strongly encourage you to take a careful look at your overall collection and determine a common sense batch strategy that you can manage through this process. And you're going to want to take notes about where you left off because chances are you're going to have to leave and come back several times over, say, a week, maybe a month or more, depending upon the size of your collection, to actually complete this archive process. Okay, so let's get into it. Here is my Photos app with my current library in it. And one critical tip that I'll share with you is make sure that you stay in library view. I'm not going to get into the theory of smart folders and albums and all that stuff. Just be aware that the library view is the most efficient view for this task. So let's get into exporting our files. We'll open up the external drive. Let's create a new folder. We will call it Photos Archive, if I can spell it right. Let's go ahead, open up that folder. Now, let's go into our collection here. What I'll do is I'm just going to select the first couple of rows here. Go to the File pull-down menu. Go down to Export. Go down to Export Unmodified Originals for 10 photos. All right. And I basically just leave things here as is. Go by the file name, that sort of thing. If we click export, then we will get the Save File dialog. Let's find that external storage. We'll click into Photos Archive and we will export the originals. Let's go ahead and look at it in Finder, and here are the files. Now, by exporting unmodified originals, if I were to have live photos or edits and that sort of things on photos, that information would be saved. It will also save metadata, captions that you might have typed in there. All that data would be saved with the photo or video. And if you have input that information into your photos and videos in the past, you definitely want to keep that, I know. The cool thing about the archiving process is it gives you an opportunity to look critically at your photo collection to see if there's an opportunity to get rid of duplicates or maybe reduce a collection of photos taken at an event where you have 50 photos, but 5 would do just fine. Because it's good to think of your archiving process as curation. You probably have a fairly large collection. So I'm not going to sugarcoat this. Your initial processing of that collection is going to be brutal. However, subsequent exports are going to be much easier. I also want to share one option with you where you can download all of your photos from iCloud. You might find this appealing, so we'll go into it. Take your browser over to privacy.apple.com. Once you log in, you can go down to get a copy of your data. We'll follow that link. We're going to scroll down a little ways until we see iCloud Photos. If we click that check mark, come over to continue, then we can choose the maximum file size. Not all of your files and photos are going to realistically fit in one file that you are going to reliably be able to download. So what Apple does is it breaks it up into different sized files, and you get to choose the size you prefer. Depending upon your internet speed, you might want to choose the 1 gigabyte for slower ones, or if you have fast internet, a 25 gigabyte file download isn't going to kill you. Go ahead and select whichever file size makes sense for you. And then you'll hit complete request. There'll be a few more prompts for you to fill out. And then it'll take probably between 3 and 7 days for Apple to prepare those files for you to download. The trade-off is you're putting off your download for a week, but it's actually making Apple do the hardest work for you. So it's up to you. If curation isn't going to be a big deal for you, then this is a very compelling free service to get you started on that local full resolution archive. And the idea behind this is to set this download from Apple as your baseline. After that, you will conduct your own manual exports, on a schedule that makes sense to you, whether you do it once a month or once or twice a year. The benefits of maintaining your own archive is that your photos and videos live independently of libraries or Apple databases, and the files are freely portable and viewable anywhere. I'm not going to lie. With this process, there still are some remaining risks. First of all, this process isn't simple, and it's easy to abandon it. So it takes a little dedication on your part. And like I've said before, friction creates ownership, and ownership reduces the chance of accidental loss. And of course, any external drive can fail. There are many remote backup services that will allow you to back up external drives, so that could have you covered as well. I personally use Backblaze, and they offer unlimited backups that include external drives that are hooked up to my primary computer. And like I said, unfortunately, there's no easy backup solution that will protect your photos and videos. So it's important to make a conscious decision about how you're going to protect your photos and videos. So I hope this gave you a bit more insight in maintaining a careful, full resolution archive of your photos and videos. And until next time, have fun, stay safe, and keep learning.